Got so much work to do. Trying to talk to you. You give me five minutes of focus. Give me 5 minutes of focus. 5 minutes of focus. Give me 5 minutes of focus. Welcome to your 5 minute focus. Today, I am excited to have my husband with me. We're going to dive right into it. Today, we're going to be talking about Psalms 23, which is a very familiar passage. I'm going to be reading from the Living Bible, and it reads, "Because the Lord is my shepherd, I have everything I need. He lets me rest in the meadow grass and leads me beside the quiet streams. He restores my failing health. He helps me do what honors him most. Even when walking through the dark valley of death, I will not be afraid, for you are close beside me, guiding all the way. You provide delicious food for me in the presence of my enemies. You have welcomed me as your guest. Blessings overflow. Your goodness and unfailing kindness shall be with me all of my life, and afterwards I will live with you forever in your home." It's interesting because, you hear scriptures all the time and you may not really understand how to apply them to your life, which is why, I'm constantly saying, like, how do we do this in 2021? How do we apply this? How do we utilize or apply the word as we're reading it in today's time with everything that we're facing? So let's talk about shepherds. Like, how could we use Psalms 23 to our everyday interactions with today's version of a shepherd?
When I think of shepherds now, you pretty much think of pastors and them shepherding the flock, sheep. When David wrote it, he wrote it as a way to describe his relationship with God. But we oftentimes, like I said, we look at pastors as our shepherds. And he's shepherding the sheep. So it's important to realize the role of a pastor in this text because it's a lot of responsibility for the pastor. He has to lead his sheep. He has to know where to lead his sheep. He has to know his sheep well enough to guide them in the right place, to know when it's time for them to eat, when it's safe for them to eat, to keep them away from the wolves and the wild animals and things that can be detrimental to their health. And one thing when I was reading on this, when he was saying how it anoints, the head with oil. One of the reasons the shepherd would anoint a sheep's head with oil isn't really just because, it was considered a blessing. It was because it was a way to help keep all flies and insects away from their ears and their nose and stuff like that. So, as part of the shepherd, his job is to try to keep the things away from you that can be detrimental to your health.
So, like a covering, like they're covering us from things that, and it's not just things that we know may become, but things that we don't even see, don't even understand is even a hindrance, is what kind of the shepherd is able to do for it. What's your favorite verse in Psalms 23?
I think the part when I spoke about what he anointed my head with oil, because when I dove into that and I realized what exactly that meant for a shepherd and a sheep, they kind of resonated with me. The whole scripture broken down is very powerful, but that stood out to me because the effects of the oil being on the head, put on you by your shepherd to protect you and to keep the flies, the fleas, the everything, the social media, you want to put it in today's term, he's covering us to keep those things away from us. Sure.
So mine is, even though we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, we will fear no evil, for God is with us. And that is, it really just, for me, it just confirms, like it doesn't matter how dark the day is, doesn't matter how bad the situations are. Like, I know, like, the Lord is not going to leave me in it. Like, and I may while I'm going through it and while I'm in the darkness, I may be upset. I may
Right.
feel like, all right, God, now where you at? Like I may,
Yeah.
kick and scream just a little bit, but I think deep down, I still already know like
Yeah.
he ain't gonna leave me there.
I'm not
Like,
by myself.
yeah, and I know that, and I think for me it's something that you can't put a price on that. You can't put a value on being assured that
Yeah.
God is always going to be there with you and He's not going to leave you. Um,
So with that, what you said, surely goodness and mercy shall follow you. So if you notice, he didn't say I will follow you. He said goodness and mercy will follow you. So he has people in place or things in place to be there with you.
mm,
So those assistant pastors, the elders, the ministers, the leaders, those people who are there. That was big.
okay, preach. All right, you about to try to take over the focus. So no, this is really good. I just thank you for joining today.
You're welcome.
Well, that's all the time that we have for today. Please join next week. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. This has been your 5 Minute Focus.